Where am I? Who is this?
Hello, Repster. I want to play a game. The new Spiral movie is out now, and you must do a review on it. Otherwise, perish. Live or die. Make your choice.
Oh, crap. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Repster, where movies and entertainment are our reputation. I'm so sorry, guys, for not being able to post anything. I know it's been 2 weeks, maybe a little over 2 weeks since I posted anything on this channel. I've just been going through a lot, health issue-wise. I think I'm better, but I'm not going to rant about that for now. Here, I'm going to talk about Spiral, which just got released and was directed by series veteran director Darren Bousman and stars Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson. And the film follows the story of a detective who gets caught in a deadly game from a serial killer who unleashes a twisted form of justice led by the city's dark past. This series is near and dear to my heart. I have kept up with this series since 2004, since the first film got released in October around Halloween time of '04. And I've been keeping up with them ever since. It's been my yearly tradition because the first 7 used to come out every Halloween. I'd gather my friends up and say, it's time. I call them up and say, it's time. If it's Halloween, it must be Saw. So let's get our butts up there and watch the latest installment. That would be my Halloween tradition. The heck with dressing up. That would be my tradition. Although there was highs and lows for this series for me, mostly highs, but there were some lows. I loved the way the first film did. I loved the twists. I loved the story. And it gave us James Wan, a really great director today, who has since directed Dead Silence and has went from horror to action like Furious 7, Aquaman, and so on and so forth. He just recently produced, I think, the new Mortal Kombat. He had his hands in that. He didn't direct it, but he had his hands in that. So we got introduced to him and just a whole bunch of great sequels, and some not so great, some awesome. I consider this series the granddaddy of all carnage candy, pretty much. And which pretty much coined the term torture porn, which a lot of critics may disagree, but it's probably little critics like me. Although I don't consider myself a critic, I just consider myself a movie lover, so probably movie lovers like me. I'll just put it that way. But it's definitely coined the term torture porn. How else can you describe these films? Really? Especially with the twists and turns, which is what these movies are pretty much based on. And that's what I really love about them. The carnage candy, hell yeah. But the twists and turns, those are the reason why I got into these. So let's talk positives of Spiral. The story, it was pretty convincing. Chris Rock actually brought the concept of this film to Lionsgate. They loved it, and so the games began. And, you know, we all know that Chris Rock was more for his comedy. We all know that he was a comic genius back in the day. So it was nice seeing him, do something like this. I think he pretty much outdid himself, but I'll get into his character later. Though Josh Stolberg and Pete Goldfinger, which I believe coined Jigsaw, the last of the Saw films franchise, I don't know, I have to go back to that, but I know I recognize those names. I think they did do a couple of the films in the series before. But even though it was scripted by them, Spiral was scripted by them, Chris Rock brought up the idea. And he did executive produce, which is actually a higher position of movie making from what I understand. And some might say that the story is kind of relatable of what's happening in real life, but without ruining anything, that's all I'll say. And once you see the film, you can decide for yourself, but I really can't say anything more without ruining it. The look and feel was great. It felt like a Saw movie. You get that grainy picture, the dark essence, and even the green lighting. Just like with the old films, you clearly get plenty of that in this. The set designs, and you could tell that more money was put in this like most of the others. Other than Saw, the final chapter, but that was done in 3D, so they had an excuse for that. But you could tell that they put more money in this. And I think that had something to do with Chris Rock and the set pieces and set designs. And just the way the picture looked, you could just tell that more money was poured into this. And this one, I believe, was made for like $20 million, but it looked really good. Hopefully it'll pay off real soon. And the characters were fantastic, mainly Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I'm just going to call him Sam Jackson for short. They basically play a father and son. Chris Rock plays the son, and Samuel L. Jackson plays the father. I have a little problem with Rock's acting, but I'll get into that later. But I thought he did pretty good. Like I said before, he's known more for his comedy. It was nice seeing him do a part like this. He was serious. He was really going all out for this character, which is like serious. He plays this detective who tries to figure out these murders and who's doing them and all. And, you know, it's just, it's crazy. And you look at this character and you look at the man who's playing this, and yeah, you think of all the comedy acts that he did and like the comedy movies, which is basically what he's known for. It was nice seeing him do something like this. Least of all, you know, executive produce and bring this concept up. Not to mention Samuel L. Jackson. We all know how he is. Samuel L. Jackson is Sam Jackson. It's always nice seeing him cuss and, you know, bitch and all that. That's what you go to see a movie starring him for. He pretty much kind of brought a little bit of a comic element of it to this film because of that. He's basically a smartass. He always throws in those one-liners. It's always a treat seeing him on screen. Though he's not in it too much, but he still did a pretty good job.
You wanna play games, motherfucker?
And the direction was nice. Veteran director Darren Bousman returns, who gave us Saws 2, 3, and 4. And I thought he did a really good job in this, just like he did in the others. And this is coming from somebody who's always been a fan of all of them from the start. So, of course, I'm going to praise his direction. Of course, they go in a new direction. They try something new, just like they did with Jigsaw, but for some reason that didn't quite pan out. But Darren Bousman, because of what Chris Rock brought to the table, I thought he did a pretty good job. And it was nice seeing him return. After 13 years, Saw 4 was the last one he directed, which came out in 2008. And it was nice seeing him come back to his roots pretty much, because he did like one movie after another. Like, granted, it was only 3 out of like 9, but still. Yeah, and this makes 4. Still, he did a pretty good job with this. Though I will mention something about the new direction later on, which isn't all that good, but like I said, I'll mention that later. I'll come back to that. But still, this movie was a nice change of pace. And Darren Bousman, like I said, he's a good director. He does it pretty well with tense scenes and gore and all that stuff. The traps were awesome. Of course, this is a new one, so they try to freshen it up, and that they did. That's one thing that this series never disappointed on, was each movie, every time a saw trap would end up showing up on screen, it would always be fresh. It would be fresh, it would be new, and that they did not disappoint in Spiral. Of course, plenty of carnage candy went along with that, and that was a treat for any horror fan out there. Charlie Clouser, who scored all the others, every single one of them, of course, comes back, and you get that Saw theme. A lot of y'all know what that sounds like. It's just fantastic, especially with all the twisted scenes in this, with the twists and turns. You definitely get that here. Even the quick edits, you get plenty of. Like with the rest of them, and they kind of eased up on that in Jigsaw, but with the rest of them, along with this one, you always get those quick edits, those quick cuts, along with the trap scenes. And you get plenty of screaming. Of course, with Carnage Candy, you get plenty of screaming, which is, if you're a hardcore fan of the series, that's what you expect. That's what you enjoy. So, you get plenty of that as well. And setting all that aside, as much as I like this movie, as much as I enjoyed this film, it's still not a perfect movie. I'm not blind completely. So, you end with the mix. And as I mentioned before, it's nice seeing Chris Rock doing a part like this. But it felt like in some scenes, now don't get me wrong, I still like this character, which is why I'm putting this in the mix. But with Chris Rock, with some of the scenes when he yells, It just seems like he's trying too hard. It seems like his comic element was kind of coming out. Like, you really couldn't take him seriously when he was doing these. When he was screaming and yelling and all that. But that was in like some scenes. A lot of the scenes he did pretty well. But some of them stuck out like a sore thumb. You just couldn't really take him seriously in like some scenes. But like I said, most of the movie he did an excellent job in. And this may sound a little bit of a nitpick, but the way the killer would say, "I want to play a game," it sounded like a freaking robot. And this is how it would sound like. "I want to play a game." But everything he says after that, when he would explain to the victims what they would have to do to survive, was kosher enough. Which is why I'm putting this in the mix as well. But when he would say, "I want to play a game," it would sound like R2-D2 hopped up on pills or something. "I want to play a game." That's how it would sound. Not really cool, but yeah, fair, I guess. Still, not the same. And let's dive into the negatives. First of all, before I say anything and before I incriminate myself, I know this is a new direction. This is a new movie, even though it still ties in with the others. Like a bad itch, and I can't scratch no matter how hard I scratch. I just couldn't get over the fact that Tobin Bell wasn't in this. This is the first movie that Tobin Bell does not play Jigsaw in it. Not even in the past scenes. And you know this, so I'm not giving anything away because it never said his name in the credits, or you never see him in the trailer. Now they keep him alive, which is what tells you that this movie is still tied to the others, so it's not a complete reboot. It's a new direction, but still, like an itch, I can't scratch. After so many years getting used to the type of direction that this series went into, and yes, I'm just referring to the verse 7, I grew up in that era, sue me, I just can't get over that fact. I mean, Tobin Bell was the man, and every time he would show up on screen in the past movies, I would get chills because that's how intimidating he would always be. I always wished that they would cast Tobin Bell in more stuff, in more parts. There was like one other movie I've seen him in, but I forget what it was, and he was even intimidating in that. It wasn't even his Jigsaw character. He's in some of these B-type films, independent-type films. I see him pop up, but it's never nothing big. Again, I wish they would stop doing that to such a great actor and just cast him in more stuff that's bigger. Like the role of Jigsaw. Like I said, every time he would appear on the screen in the old films, you know they meant business. Like I said, I always knew that he wasn't going to be in this because his name never showed up in the credits. So I was rolling into this with kind of low expectations on that end. But again, I try to keep an open mind because, yes, I understand. New direction, new characters, and it just goes with the territory. So it is what it is. He's pretty cool. I just wish they would have included him just a little bit in this. Even though they still kept him alive. You see pictures of him. You see that in the trailer. So they clearly still keep this character alive. But this is officially the first Saw film without him, period. Not even his voice. Same with getting rid of Billy the Puppet. You don't get Billy the Puppet in this either. Again, I know it's a new direction. Yes. But still, I'm not going to overlook this. It's weird. And I said this in my discussion of the trailer when the second trailer first dropped a month and a half ago. I said this in that video that I knew it was going to feel weird. And yes, I did feel weird. As much as I enjoyed this movie, as much as I enjoyed Spiral and Chris Rock's take on this, I still couldn't get over that fact that them two were not included. I'm sorry. It's just the way I feel. And I'm not going to keep quiet about it, no matter how many haters I might get in the foreseeable future if I ever do get more subscribers. I'm not going to change my stance on that. It is what it is. The movie as a whole wasn't as exciting. It wasn't as overwhelmingly shocking as the others, especially the first one. But you can't really blame that. I mean, this series has been dragged into the dirt, so you can't really blame them for that. But still, it wasn't much there, but it was still entertaining. Don't ever get that wrong. I still enjoyed the film for what it was. So if you're expecting anything new or too overwhelmingly exciting, you may be disappointed. But if you're a hardcore fan of the series like I am, as a whole, you'll enjoy Spiral for its sweet delight. So, Spiral, what did you think of it? Did you find it good? Did you find it bad? What is your favorite Saw film in the series? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. I will be watching Army of the Dead, which also came out this weekend. I'm very excited about that, so you will not have to wait as long this time for another review. Peace the rep out.